So let's welcome our first storyteller, Tanya Moore. Tanya is an employee of the Columbia Heights School District. She volunteers as a director on the Athletic Boosters board, and she is a wife and mother of children here in the Heights. Let's give her a round of applause. Tanya, let's start with how and where did you grow up?
I grew up in South Minneapolis. My growing up was kind of different. I grew up starting in a foster home. My father and my mother was a schizophrenic, and my father was from rural Arkansas, so he did not know how to read or write. So they signed us over to the state of Minnesota, not knowing that. So we wound up in foster homes, me and my siblings, and being in a foster home, it became too expensive to the state, so they gave us to my grandmother, my mom's mom, by giving her a house. We'll give you a house for 14 years if you take these kids in. She said, okay. So we moved in with my grandmother, who was a racist. So here you got 3 black kids living with a racist white woman. So that's how we started growing up. Which was fine because we didn't know what the words were that she used. She would say words and we were like, what does that mean? We had no idea. Until we got older and we were like, Grandma, you called us that. And she's like, honey, I didn't know. And we joked about it, because we were older then. But at the time, we didn't have a clue what she was saying to us. But she grown to love us. And she changed her ways after time. But it was still hard. It took years and years. It was a lot easier for me because I was light-skinned. So I got very easy. Where my siblings were darker, so they had it very rough. She did not like them at all. So they were in and out of the house, group homes after group homes after group homes, beatings after beatings. So they weren't in the home very often. School wasn't much easier. I was too light to play with the black kids and too dark to play with the white kids. So I didn't have very many friends. So I didn't know where I fit. So I had a hard time at school because no one wanted to be my friend. So I was at home where I wasn't wanted by my grandmother. My siblings didn't like me because I was too light and I wasn't getting in trouble like they were. I didn't have no friends at school. So where did I belong? I was really, really confused. I didn't know who my father was. I didn't get to see my mother. I didn't know where I fit. So growing up was extremely hard. So I just kept going about my business, kept trying to find my way in life until I got into high school. And that's when things started to change. I started to see more and more kids like me. And then they're like, oh, I'm not the only one. There's more like me. And they accepted me. And the white kids started accepting me. And the black kids accepted me. And the biracial and the Asian, everyone started accepting me. And things started changing for me. So growing up became much better. Part 2, or do I keep going?
How do you feel growing up black affected your childhood in the neighborhood?
We grew up, so I grew up in South Minneapolis. On my side, I grew up on 42nd and 1st. So I was on the south side of King Park, which was the white side. So we had the good side. You go on the north side, that was bad. You didn't want to go on the north side of King Park. That's where all the gangs were. That's where all the issues were. So we were the only black kids in the neighborhood. So everyone looked at us and judged us. So we were lucky enough to have a church at the end of our block that took us in. They didn't take kids under the age of 6th grade, but they took us in at 4 years old, when I was 4 years old. And then let us start going to that church at 4 years old. And from 4 to, she retired, Pastor Berg retired, I think when I was in 9th grade. And from 4 years old till I was in 9th grade, I used to go to that church every single Wednesday and every single Sunday. And she would let us go to her house, and she would take us on trips. She paid for us to go to camp. She took us school shopping. My grandma never bought us school clothes. Never, she bought us our school clothes. She would ask us what size we wore. I didn't have a clue. I had no idea what size. I didn't know what size. She knew what size we wore. She knew all of our immunizations. She went to our school conferences. My grandmother never did that. I didn't have a clue what none of that stuff was, because she did all that. So she took us in. So with her being with the church, we were able to fit in with the community much better. If it wasn't for the church being there, it would have been a lot different being in that community. It would have been a lot harder.
What do you do with your time now?
Oh my goodness, I don't have time. I volunteer with the Columbia Heights Athletic Boosters. I'm on the board of directors, so I do a lot of volunteering with that. I'm also with the Columbia Heights Lions, so I volunteer with that. I'm also with the MAC program with the Columbia Heights Police Department. I also work with the Columbia Heights School District. I try to do as much as I possibly can with my children. I have 5 boys. Yes. So I used to be in banking. I did 17 years in banking, and having 5 black boys, I realized that I can't work. 2 parents can't work. And I needed to be home. Somebody needs to be home with them. Somebody needs to be around with them. Especially during the time when there's a lot of police killings and there's a lot of things going around. I can't have my kids home alone in the summertime just running around. So I quit my job. I was like, nope, that's not happening. Not my kids. This community's gonna know who I am. These police are gonna know my name, they're gonna know my kids, and everyone's gonna know who I am. Whether they like it or not, they're gonna know me. And my kids hate. Everyone knows us. Yes, they do. They know us, and they're gonna like us. Mom, why do you always talk? Because, like I said, everyone, if something happens to one of my kids, they're not gonna say, well, they were a gangbang. Oh, not mine. Everyone's gonna know who a Moore child is. They're gonna know, not one of the Moore children, no. If my kid does something wrong, I will get that phone call. Did you know? Yeah, my kid's not doing that. I know where my kid is. So I make sure I'm involved in everything. So I don't have time. I'm very, very busy, and I make sure that my kids stay as busy as possible too. There's no time on their schedule.
Well, thank you for all the amazing work you're doing in our community.
Thanks.
How does being black affect your experiences in Columbia Heights?
So when I first moved to Heights, back in 1997, it was great. I mean, Columbia Heights was amazing. When I was like, what is Heights? I've never heard of Heights. It's a boring place. And it was wonderful. I mean, the community was amazing. Neighbors used to get together all the time. We used to always hang out. It was great. And then we moved away because our landlord made us move. And then we came back, and it was still great. And then we bought our house on Reservoir, right off of Reservoir. And then everything changed. We were followed home by the police every day for the first 6 months. We were told we were going to the wrong place. And I'm like, what do you mean we're going to the wrong place? This is our house. No, we should turn down by Circle Terrace. What do you mean? Well, can I see your ID? Yeah, this is my house. Oh, I'm sorry. We had to go down and make complaints with the chief because they were shocked that we bought our house up on Reservoir. They thought we were turning out the wrong place because they weren't expecting a black family to live up there. Then, after we got that settled, they started getting dings for stolen cell phones. And of course, anything that dinged on Circle Terrace came to my house. And they just knew it was my kids that stole it. And I was being, this was the best. This one was good. Me, fit the description of a 5'8", dark-skinned, 120-pound woman. And I'm looking at him like, really? And he's looking at the picture. And I'm like, and I fit the description. And he's like, and Officer Naomi, I was like, she does not fit the description. I'm like, no, I don't. I was like, not at all. And we had to contact T-Mobile multiple times. And they had to make an article in the paper that they're dinging at different addresses. And we had to make complaints with T-Mobile. And we had to go to the news. And multiple people start going to the news. And we made complaints to finally have them stop. And they kept saying, well, we know your kid stole it. No, we didn't do nothing. And after we kept harassing him and harassing, and then I said, you know what, that's not going to work. You know what we're going to do? We're going to take him down some food on a holiday. That's what we're going to do. We're going to feed him. And Officer Harvey, we started feeding Officer Harvey. And we would bring him some barbecue. And we never got harassed again. Never had an issue. And I have Officer Harvey left, it broke my heart. He used to come over every holiday and make sure he got a plate. But we started feeding the officers. They have to eat too in the holidays. But I had to figure out, okay, what do we have to do to let them realize we're not the bad guy here. We're not the ones happening. We're not all bad. They just assumed that it had to be us. So we started making sure, I wanted to make sure that we were known. And then things got better. So now we're known. And I stop and talk to every single police officer I possibly can. And I go out my way. And my kids hate it.
Thank you so much, Tanya.
Yes.
Let's give Tanya a round of applause and thank her for her story.